There is something strange about vitamin D. Your body can make it from sunlight, you can get it from food, you can take it as a supplement, and yet, some adults over 50 may still not be getting enough. The surprising part? You may not know. There may be no dramatic warning, no sudden pain, no obvious sign that something is wrong. Instead, problems can quietly show up as weaker bones, muscle weakness, or difficulty maintaining physical strength. And after 50, those changes matter. Because losing strength isn't simply about getting older. Weak muscles can affect balance. Poor balance can increase the risk of falls, and a fall that might have been a minor inconvenience at 40 can become a major setback at 70. But here's where the story gets even more interesting. Vitamin D is one of the most misunderstood nutrients in healthy aging. Some people take huge doses because they believe more is better. Others avoid supplements completely because they assume sunlight automatically provides enough. Neither approach is necessarily right. So today, we're going to separate the facts from the hype. We'll look at the signs that may deserve attention, the people more likely to have low vitamin D, the foods that actually contain it, what sunlight can and cannot do, and the vitamin D mistake that could actually harm you. Let's start with something most people don't realize. Vitamin D isn't really just a vitamin. Vitamin D behaves more like a hormone than a typical vitamin. Your body uses it in calcium absorption and bone metabolism, and vitamin D is also involved in normal muscle and other biological functions. That becomes particularly important as you get older. Because your goal after 50 isn't simply to live longer, it's to remain capable, to carry your groceries, climb the stairs, get out of a chair without struggling, walk confidently, play with your grandchildren, travel, and remain independent. That is what healthy aging really means. And vitamin D is one small piece of that much bigger picture. But there's an important warning here. Low vitamin D does not automatically mean that every health problem you're experiencing is caused by vitamin D. That's one of the biggest myths surrounding this nutrient. Feeling tired? It could be dozens of things. Muscle aches? There are many possible causes. Feeling weaker? It could be sleep, inactivity, medications, nutrition, illness, or normal changes in muscle mass. So don't use symptoms alone to diagnose yourself. Instead, look for patterns and risk factors, because some people are much more likely than others to have low vitamin D. Sign 1. Your muscles feel weaker than they used to. Picture this. You're standing in front of your favorite chair. You sit down, then you try to stand. A few years ago, you barely noticed the movement. Now you have to lean forward. You push off with your hands. Maybe you need a little momentum. And you tell yourself, well, I'm getting older. Sometimes, aging is part of the explanation, but persistent muscle weakness deserves attention. Vitamin D deficiency in adults can contribute to osteomalacia, a condition involving defective mineralization of bone, and may be associated with muscle weakness and bone pain. But here's the important distinction. Weakness does not prove that you're vitamin D deficient. It is a reason to look at the bigger picture. If your strength has noticeably declined, don't just blame age. Ask what changed. Are you moving less? Eating less protein? Spending almost all day indoors? Taking a medication that affects your nutrition? Have you recently lost weight without trying? These questions can reveal much more than one vitamin ever could, and that leads to the second warning sign. Sign 2. Your bones hurt in a way you can't explain. Not every ache means weak bones, and not every backache means vitamin D deficiency. But significant, persistent bone pain, especially when combined with muscle weakness, is something you shouldn't simply dismiss. Severe vitamin D deficiency can lead to osteomalacia in adults, which can cause bone pain and weak bones. This is very different from the occasional stiffness many people experience. So if you have persistent or unexplained pain, especially if it's interfering with normal movement, speak with your healthcare professional rather than simply taking a high-dose vitamin. Because there's another important possibility. The problem might not be vitamin D at all. It could involve calcium, your thyroid, your kidneys, medications, arthritis, an injury, or another condition. The goal isn't to guess. The goal is to find the cause. Sign 3. You spend most of your day indoors. This one is easy to overlook. Think about a typical day. You wake up, you make breakfast, you sit down, you drive somewhere, you work at a desk, you come home, you watch television, and before you know it, the sun has gone down. You may have spent almost the entire day inside. Your skin makes vitamin D when exposed to sunlight. But how much you produce varies with factors including age, skin pigmentation, location, season, cloud cover, and the amount of skin exposed. And there's another detail people forget. Sunlight through a window doesn't provide the same vitamin D-producing exposure as direct sunlight on bare skin. But don't take this as a reason to spend hours in the sun. You do not need to chase vitamin D by deliberately getting excessive sun exposure. Sun exposure also carries skin cancer risks. Instead, think of outdoor activity as part of a healthy lifestyle, not as a precise vitamin D prescription. Go outside, walk, garden, sit outdoors, stay physically active, and let your doctor guide you if you're concerned about your vitamin D status. Sign 4. You rarely eat vitamin D-rich foods. Here's a surprising fact. Very few foods naturally contain large amounts of vitamin D. Some of the better natural sources include fatty fish, such as salmon, trout, tuna, and mackerel. Egg yolks, beef liver, and cheese contain smaller amounts. Some mushrooms contain vitamin D as well. Fortified foods can also contribute. Depending on the country and product, vitamin D may be added to milk, plant-based beverages, cereals, yogurt, orange juice, and other foods. So if your diet consists mostly of foods that contain almost no vitamin D, it's worth paying attention to. But don't make the mistake of thinking one food will magically solve everything. Healthy aging isn't built around one superfood. It's built around patterns. A protein-rich diet, plenty of vegetables, fruit, whole grains or other high-fiber foods, healthy fats, adequate calcium, regular physical activity, good sleep, and enough of the nutrients your body needs. Vitamin D belongs inside that bigger picture. Sign 5. You have a reason your body might not absorb vitamin D. Well, this is where the story becomes more complicated. You can eat vitamin D, you can take vitamin D, but that doesn't necessarily mean your body will handle it normally. Certain digestive conditions can interfere with fat absorption, which can affect absorption of fat-soluble vitamins such as vitamin D. Kidney problems can also affect how vitamin D is converted into forms your body can use. And some medications can affect vitamin D levels or metabolism. This is one reason people shouldn't copy someone else's supplement routine. Your neighbor might take 2,000 IU every day. Your friend might take 5,000. Someone online might recommend 10,000. That doesn't mean those doses are appropriate for you. Your health history matters. Your medications matter. Your kidney function matters. Your diet matters. And your actual vitamin D status may matter. But here's the vitamin D myth you need to hear. For years, vitamin D has been marketed almost like a universal cure. Better immunity, better mood, better heart health, better memory, better protection from disease. And this is where you need to be careful. Scientists have found associations between vitamin D levels and many health conditions. But an association doesn't prove that taking more vitamin D prevents those diseases. Large clinical trials have not shown vitamin D supplementation to be a magic shield against every major disease. The 2024 Endocrine Society guideline specifically warns against routinely using vitamin D above recommended dietary intakes in healthy adults under 75, simply for disease prevention. That's an important correction. Vitamin D is important, but important does not mean the more you take, the healthier you become. And that brings us to one of the biggest mistakes people make. The biggest mistake: thinking more vitamin D is always better. Imagine buying a bottle labeled 5,000 IU. You see the number, you think that must be stronger, so you take one every day. Then someone tells you about 10,000 IU, and suddenly your 5,000 doesn't seem impressive anymore. This is how supplement culture can become dangerous. Vitamin D is fat-soluble. Your body can store it. And excessive supplemental vitamin D can cause dangerously high calcium levels. Too much can lead to nausea, vomiting, weakness, confusion, dehydration, excessive thirst and urination, and kidney stones. In severe toxicity, kidney failure and abnormal heart rhythms can occur. For adults, the established tolerable upper intake level is 4,000 IU per day, from all sources, unless a healthcare professional is treating a deficiency or another medical condition. That does not mean 4,000 IU is your recommended daily dose. It means it is an upper limit designed to reduce the risk of harm for the general population. Those are very different things. So if you see someone online saying, everyone over 50 should take 5,000 IU every day, be skeptical. There is no universal dose that fits everyone. So how much do you actually need? For most adults ages 51 to 70, the established recommended dietary allowance is 600 IU, or 15 micrograms, per day. For adults over 70, it's 800 IU, or 20 micrograms per day. And here's another important update. The Endocrine Society's 2024 guideline recommends that generally healthy adults ages 50 to 74 not routinely take vitamin D above those established dietary reference intakes simply for disease prevention. For adults 75 and older, it suggests empiric vitamin D supplementation, with lower daily doses preferred over large intermittent doses. That is very different from the internet message that everyone needs high-dose vitamin D. They don't. Some people do need treatment, but treatment is different from taking megadoses because you think they might make you healthier. What about getting your blood tested? This is another area where the answer isn't as simple as many people think. The common blood test is called 25-hydroxyvitamin D, or 25-OHD. But routine testing of every healthy adult isn't currently recommended. The Endocrine Society recommends against routine vitamin D testing in generally healthy adults, and the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force has said there isn't enough evidence to determine the overall benefits and harms of screening asymptomatic adults. So you don't necessarily need to ask for a vitamin D test every year just because you've turned 50. However, that's very different from saying testing is never useful. If you have symptoms, risk factors, certain medical conditions, problems with absorption, or another clinical reason, your healthcare professional may decide testing makes sense. That's why personalized medical advice matters. The better strategy after 50. Instead of obsessing over one number, build a lifestyle that supports healthy vitamin D status. Think about these 5 habits. Habit 1. Eat vitamin D-rich foods regularly. Include fatty fish when it fits your diet. Check fortified foods. Read nutrition labels. And remember that eggs and mushrooms can contribute smaller amounts. You don't need to eat the same food every day. You need a consistent nutritional pattern. Habit 2. Spend time outdoors. Don't treat sunlight like a medication dose. Treat outdoor activity as part of your lifestyle. Take a walk, garden, sit outside, play with your grandchildren, move your body in natural light. You gain far more from being active outdoors than simply chasing vitamin D. Habit 3. Protect your muscle. This may be the most important longevity lesson in this entire video. Don't focus only on vitamins. Build strength. Do resistance exercises appropriate for your fitness level. Practice getting up from a chair. Carry groceries safely. Use your muscles, because independence is not maintained by supplements alone. It's maintained by a body that is regularly asked to perform. Habit 4. Pay attention to your diet as a whole. Vitamin D works alongside calcium and other nutrients involved in bone health. So don't build your diet around one nutrient. Build meals around real food. Protein, vegetables, fruit, whole grains, healthy fats, calcium-rich foods, and sources of vitamin D. Habit 5. Don't self-treat a problem you haven't diagnosed. This may be the most important one. If you think you're deficient, don't automatically reach for a megadose. Talk with your healthcare professional, especially if you have kidney disease, digestive problems, osteoporosis, a history of kidney stones, or take medications that could interact with vitamin D. Because sometimes the smartest health decision isn't taking another pill, it's finding out what your body actually needs. And here's the part I want you to remember. After 50, healthy aging becomes less about chasing perfect numbers and more about protecting your function. Can you walk? Can you climb stairs? Can you get out of a chair? Can you carry something? Can you maintain your balance? Can you stay active? Can you live independently? Those are powerful signs of healthy aging. Vitamin D can play an important role in bone health and normal body function. But it is not a miracle pill. You don't need to fear every ache. You don't need to panic about sunlight. And you don't need to take enormous doses just because someone on the internet told you to. Instead, pay attention, eat well, move your body, spend sensible time outdoors, know your risk factors. And when something changes significantly, don't automatically blame age, investigate it. Because getting older is inevitable. Losing your independence doesn't have to be. And sometimes the difference between simply adding years to your life and adding life to those years comes down to the small habits you practice consistently. So if you're over 50, take a moment today and ask yourself 3 questions. Am I getting enough nutrient-rich foods? Am I spending enough time being active outdoors? And am I treating my health based on evidence, or based on something I saw online? Those three questions could be more valuable than another bottle of supplements. If you found this video useful, subscribe to Healthy Years for more practical, science-based strategies to help you stay strong, sharp, energetic, and independent as you age. And remember, don't chase more. Give your body what it actually needs. That's the real secret to healthy aging.